Hello, hola, ni hao, salut, namaste, everyone, wherever in the world you're listening to this, and welcome to 100 Sum Game, a podcast where we discuss negotiation, persuasion, and influence. Join me as I interview master negotiators from a new industry each episode and get inspired to get the best outcome for yourself while creating value for your counterpart. My name is Adele. I'm a recent economics and psychology grad with experience in finance and marketing, and I'm fascinated by the power of negotiation to change your life and career. Whether you're an early or seasoned professional looking to accelerate your career, negotiate your value, and tactfully handle conflicts, or simply a curious individual aiming to level up your soft skills, leave your shoes and missed opportunities at the door, and let's get started. Welcome and thanks for tuning in to another episode of 100 Sum Game. I'll be sitting down with Tim Johnson to explore the sales game this time. I'm particularly excited about this episode because Tim is known by his colleagues and friends for being a true negotiator and a sales genius. He has consistently delivered exceptional value through his work, whether in his previous role as the Director of Brand Partnerships and Sales at Wattpad or in his current position as the CEO of his own startup. Tim, I'm so honored to have you on my podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I am delighted to be here.
Amazing. Why don't you tell our listeners about who you are and your background?
Absolutely. Hey, everyone. Tim Johnson here. As Adil very kindly said, I wouldn't say sales genius, but I'd say I've spent some serious time in the sales trenches. 6 years doing sponsorships in the nonprofit space, 6 years doing brand partnerships at Wattpad, where I went from being the first BDR hired, traveling all the way up to Director of Brand Partnerships for Canada, US, UK, and so saw it all. And then for the last few years, have been a founder of my own startup, which is Couply, the app for couples to help couples improve their relationship. So it's been a very interesting journey.
I know, it looks like it. So before we get into the tricks of your trade, as you said, you've spent all of these amazing years doing sales and negotiations. And honestly, you are known to be a master closer. So I'm curious, do you ever use negotiation in your personal life? And it may be your romantic life, it may be with your friends or family. And if so, how?
You know, there is so much relationship science and sales crossover, and maybe not in the way that you would typically think. So much of it is about being calibrated with your customer, with your partner. So much of it is around good communication with your customer, with your partner. So much of it is around clarifying on your goals with your partner, with your customer. All of these things are around getting aligned and communicating in a way that your partner or your customer will appreciate and will be heard. Not just communication, but the most important aspect of sales, the most important aspect of communication, and one of the most important aspects of being in a relationship is listening. And so your listening skills are so key. So key if you want to truly excel in large deal sales. And I have to say as well, look, there's a lot of different ways of doing sales, a lot of different deal sizes. So some of the things that I say will not be as applicable to less complicated, less longer term deals that are maybe a smaller dollar size. But some of the deals that we were doing and the time it took to close them and the time that it took to make them work meant there are longer deal cycles. So a lot of the stuff that I have is around that, but I still think you can still apply it to even shorter sales cycles and perhaps less complex deals. And when I say complex, quick clarification, I don't mean in terms of it's hard. I mean in terms of complexity around can you integrate with your client, complexity of how you're going to run the thing that you're selling with them, that kind of thing. But yes, you use these skills in both your relationship and your friendships and your sales.
Yeah. I love how you put it in such a logical format. Like, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but I think it's not that intuitive for everyone. Your partner, it's your customer, right? It's just who you're speaking to.
Exactly. It's someone that you're talking to whose opinion is important to you. And your customer's opinion should be seriously important to you, because understanding that is such a huge key of being able to build fantastic relationships and being able to serve your customer in a way that's going to have a long-lasting effect. And hey, if anyone listening to this has an interest in working in sales, that's the real magic of how to create long-lasting customers that don't just buy from you once, but they buy from you again and again. They buy from you when they change roles. They buy from you when they get promoted. They buy from you when they start new businesses. Like, these are the kind of relationships that if you set out and build, they can really serve you for a very long time.
And yeah, so the things that you said tells a lot about how you play this game. And how did they look like in brand partnerships and sales?
Yeah. When we say brand partnerships as well, our brand partnerships was doing marketing campaigns with brands. So a brand would pay us to do a marketing campaign. And this was for Wattpad. And if you're not familiar with Wattpad, it is a large Toronto success story. It is an app, the app for readers and writers with 100 million monthly active users. 1 in 3 young females in Northern America are on Wattpad between the ages of 13 and 24. And so the partnerships that we're building are with brands that are seeking to reach essentially a Gen Z female demo. And so we're typically working really any brand that's looking to reach that demo, but because Wattpad is an audience of readers, we really had to think carefully, okay, what else do readers do? Who are they? What do they buy? How can we leverage the data that we have around what they're reading? How can we make this useful to a brand? How the heck are we going to make any money from this? Because when we started out, we did not truly know. We had some suspicions, but we had to test it in the market. Turns out, as we did more discovery with our audience, there are some things that readers do a heck of a lot more than other people. And we discovered that Wattpad users were 6 times more likely than others in their age group to be in a movie theater and spend more time at home watching TV and reading. And they were also 6 times less likely to be in a sports stadium. So we have an entire population of moviegoers that are nuts for TV and movies. And those insights allowed us to start building brand partnerships with TV and movies. And that became the bread and butter of Wattpad's brand partnership business. So can you see how it took understanding our audience, seeing where the value was, and then going out and offering that to clients and saying, hey, market to this audience. Find ways to engage them in your product and in your brand in a way that's going to drive awareness and sell tickets and build hype for the movies that you have coming out, for the new TV show that you're launching. That's how we began to build that value to offer to brands.
I keep hearing over and over this data-driven approach, whether it's in entrepreneurship or in sales or brand partnership, it's so important. When you're building those relationships with the brands and when you're going to them and telling them, okay, we have this insight, market to this audience, this is how much value you can unlock from this opportunity. How did you build those relationships with them and how did you approach those partnerships?
It's so important in this day and age, in the age of AI, in the age of auto writing emails where anyone can get your email address, is to custom write your emails to the person that they're intended for. And if it's a larger deal, size, and these relationships are important, guess what? Every industry gets really small, really fast when you're aiming at the top. And so those custom written outreach, leveraging video will pay dividends. And Adil, now I have CEO in my title. I am paying back all of those cold emails that I mass sent. I am getting paid back every single day in hundreds of cold emails that are going to my email inbox. I can just tell by the title that it's not custom written. I'll click into it, delete. I'm just scanning it. I can see I'm just a name in a box and it's not really addressed to me. And when something is actually customized to me, to my business, they've taken a second to look at my LinkedIn, find out like, oh, this guy's written a book. I'll mention it, or just see that something that I've posted recently, it stands out so much. And in a year, I would say I get over 1,000 emails, perhaps more, that are cold outreach. And I've had 3 custom emails from salespeople in a year. So that's how rare it is to have an actual customized email. By doing that, that makes all the difference. I believe very much so, especially if it's a high dollar figure and it's important. If the industry doesn't have that many decision makers, start with extremely customized emails. I really love to leverage video using products like Loom, Vidyard, pick your favorite. Decklinks is another great one. And create something custom, a small custom presentation for that client. And quite frankly, doing that helped us open Amazon Prime Video in the UK and Europe because we sent them a customized deck. And I said, hey guys, here's some of the things that you have coming out on your slate. Here's some of the things that we've worked on that are very similar. Here's some cool thought starters that I wanted to run past you. Would love the chance to connect and see if this is of any value to you. That was the equivalent of the outreach that I sent in a video form. It's completely customized. And I think I even said in the video, like, hey, I'm reaching out to a few people on your team. I would love to have a chance to come and put Wattpad on your radar. I'm going to be in London on this date. Can I please come into the office, meet you? And that got deals done. So I've seen how much it works and I believe in it so much. It respects your time. It respects their time. And it can be really impactful. So that's the BDR in me saying like, hey, do customized stuff. It can be hard, but I think if you are really selling high ticket items to a smaller number of people, it's really worth it. And it also protects your reputation in the industry as well.
What you talked about is not something that I've heard from other negotiators that I've had the opportunity to chat with. It's this customization in negotiation. Just target who you're talking to very specifically, customize it, and then negotiation interactions will flow a lot nicely.
Yeah, and I think to get to a negotiating standpoint, you've got to have something of value. You've got to have something that your customer actually wants. If you're pushing, you will push them away. You'll push so many customers away. You've got to be solving an actual problem that they really need you to solve. You can definitely work on highlighting the problem, but it has to be something real. You can definitely sketch out to them like, hey, is this something that you thought about? Do you think it's something that you should be thinking about? But it still has to be real. It's very difficult to push a solution on a customer if they don't truly need it. That's going to be a short-term deal for you, for them. You'll constantly be pushing a rock up a hill. It's going to take way more time versus finding a customer, understanding their problem, seeing that your solution matches their problem, and pushing forward with that solution. I've had so many conversations with potential clients that as we've got into it and I've understood the problem or the demographic that they were trying to reach, this is when I'm working at Wattpad, I would say, oh, we are absolutely not the right channel for you. I've got some great recommendations that I've seen people leverage that have really helped them, but it is definitely not us because I knew if we took those clients on, our marketing wouldn't truly work for them. It wouldn't be in line with our values as people, as an organization. It would burn out my team when things didn't perform. Their creative wouldn't do well on the platform. None of it would really jive. And it's wasting our time when we could be finding a client that we can absolutely help and who's going to stay with us for the next 3-4 years. And then I've got our sales pipeline packed with clients like that who are going to stay with us for long term. So what do you want to invest in? This is the kind of decisions that you should be thinking about if you're thinking on more of a strategic level.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Okay, so let's get into this pitching tactics. Tell us about creative pitching and how do you use your negotiation tactics or persuasion tactics in pitching to those people and getting opportunities?
A lot of people talk about decision makers here, and it's important to identify the decision makers and your champion. So your champion is going to be the person that's into it. The decision maker is the person that actually holds the money. Of course, that's level one. Definitely need to make sure that you're in contact with your decision maker, looping in your champion. Level two, building value, making sure that ideally, if they do the deal or not, you're building in sort of network with these folks. So you're saying, hey, by the way, guys, I'm also hosting a dinner for senior marketing execs in the entertainment space. Would love to have you there. Or, hey, guys, we've rented out a movie theater because they've got this awesome film coming out. Would love to have you there. Doing some neat things in the space is also a really good thing to do, just so that people can see, oh, these guys are active. They're doing things. That's awesome. I'll get a little bit deeper now into the mechanics of how to deliver a message for different personality types. And there's 4 core personality types that you need to consider when you're doing sales. And these are based on Dr. Taylor Hartman's color wheel, and it's red, yellow, blue, and
Green.
white.
Wait, I thought it was from the book. That's so funny. I thought it was from the book Surrounded by Idiots. 4 types of people: red, green, yellow, blue.
I bet you it's so similar, and I need to read that book.
Probably. You need to read that book.
Yeah, this is the one that we've been using, and it's based on Dr. Taylor Hartman's. I'll give him that shout out. So the first one is the reds. Reds really see things in terms of dominance and hierarchy, and they are very action-oriented, down to brass tacks. They'll be very blunt. If you have a long pitch deck, a red is going to want to get down to brass tacks. What are the lines? Don't give me the story. Don't tell me all the details. How much is this going to cost? What's the impact going to be? What do you reckon the final sales will be? They are fine to cut to the end and make a fast decision. They will be blunt with you, and you can be very blunt with them back, and you'll often finish the call. You'll do it in 15 minutes, and they'll be very, very happy that you've respected their time, been blunt, and got stuff done. They love that communication style, and it's very confusing to them when people get lost in details, go down rabbit holes of what ifs, or just seem very passive. So that is the red personality type.
They care about what's in it for them and just cut to the chase.
Exactly that. And you can quickly tell that personality type just by the kind of questions they ask and the way they ask those questions. Blunt. The next personality type is the blue personality type. And these guys are all about the details. This is the one that I struggled with the most. They want to know about integrations. They want to know about line items. They want to look at charts. They get really excited if you put one of those big spreadsheets up on a slide. The eyes start dancing around it. They love data.
Counting folks.
Numbers. Yeah, exactly. They love getting into the details. I always recommend putting a whole bunch of slides at the end of a deck that go really into the weeds, just in case the decision maker is a blue. And that way that you can go really deep with them. Your meeting's going to go over by half an hour, but you'll get that deal done because they're going to feel happy that they've understood all of those what ifs and that you've gone with them down those rabbit holes that they like to disappear into. That is the blue personality type. The yellow personality type, this person is driven.
Bubbly, right? And cheerful.
Yes.
And they're so intimate and emotional.
Yeah, that's it. And a desire for adventure and fun and story and connection. And they are all about, is this going to be fun? Is this going to be an adventure? Are we going to put this up for an award? Do we do a celebratory dinner when we run this campaign? Who else am I going to meet by doing this? What is your team like? We should do a social. Yellows are really all about that adventure and fun. And we were very lucky to have some clients that were around this personality type.
Love it.
They ended up taking us to the premiere of Guardians of the Galaxy, and we all went and partied afterwards. It was awesome. It was awesome. So that was very, very, very cool. And then the last one is the white personality type, which I'm guessing is the green in this book. And I'm curious if this is going to be different or not. These guys are motivated by peace and values. They are much more withdrawn. They are comfortable taking a back seat. They're very quiet and passive, and they can find it very difficult to say no to things their entire life. So often they can be very offhands. When you're dealing with someone who is a white personality type, it's really powerful to start phrasing things in the negative. Asking them, is this something that would work for you or not really? Giving them a lot of comfort and space to say no. Otherwise, you'll never get them to voice their objections. And that is really powerful as you're walking through. Someone who is a white personality type is making sure that you're not bellowing at them because they're just going to disappear down a hole, but you're really coaxing them out and letting them share their feedback, share their objections so that you can get it out in the open. They can also be incredibly stubborn if triggered. So whites and reds often clash in quite big ways, but also often end up in romantic relationships with each other. So there's that too.
Okay, sorry everyone. This is a personal interest. Why do those two personality types end up in a romantic relationship? Like,
hey, when the white personality type has the wrong food order and it comes out, they ain't sending it back. So they have their red personality type that is like, excuse me, my partner didn't order this. They didn't get anchovies. Like, they're not going to eat this. No, darling, you are not going to eat that. We're sending that back. Thank you so much. Please sort that out for us and make it quick. I want to eat together and my food's getting cold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Got it.
And the white personality type brings so much peace to the red, because the red will come home, they're amped up, they've been playing dominant games and zero-sum games all day. They unload, and the white's like, hey, it's cool. Like, it's okay, everything will be all right. And they're like, yeah, you're right.
And they balance each other.
But it can be difficult if you don't recognize it too.
Yeah. One thing you also touched on white personality is that this value of no, right? Because a lot of times people are so scared to phrase sentences in a negative format because they're so afraid of no. But actually, no is a good thing because when you're phrasing something and saying like, is that okay? Can we do it? And at that moment, the person is thinking like, how am I going to get out of this conversation? Yes. But they just are holding off information. They don't want to interact with you at that time. But when you push someone in saying no, then they haven't committed to anything and they will be more open to giving you information that may or may not change the direction of the conversation and the deal.
Absolutely. In old school sales, there was a lot of focus on building yes ladders, but you can really do some damage with letting people share their reservations as well, because people are going to have them, and understanding those objections are super important. And what can happen in a pitch is if someone is holding an objection, they just hold it in their head the whole time you're talking, the whole time you're walking them through a plan. They'll just be holding that objection. It's their one thing that they're thinking about, and then they're going to get through your whole pitch, and then they'll share their objection at the end, but really that's what they've been thinking about the whole time, and the pitch is wasted. So if you can get some of these, tease out these objections early, it can really help move a deal along.
Love it. So moving on, I also want to know, is there any question or word that you say that will change the direction and the nature of the negotiation interaction? So say there's a lot of negative emotions involved, a lot of resentment. The other party may think that you're unfair and they're fueled with a lot of negative emotions. How do you go from negative to neutral and then bring it to positive and then end up in a mutually beneficial outcome?
I mean, you really don't want a deal being loaded with negative emotions, in my opinion. I think that you can build great deals that your client is excited for. In our business, our goal was to sign long-term clients that would work with us again and again and again. So we weren't trying to win, quote unquote, over the client. We were trying to create something that would be so good for them that we become a no-brainer. And we did that. And eventually you start getting added to campaign after campaign, and the money starts flowing in to your company, to your bank account, and that will change your life. And hey, sometimes people need a favor. We had clients say, hey, this film is really important to us. We don't have much budget. I don't often ask you favors. Can you just give us a hand? Can you help? Of course we can. Let's build the relationship. That's not a time to put the screws on your client when they're desperate. That's a time to earn some real goodwill and good faith that's going to keep your relationship going on for years. But to answer your question, do things go wrong in business? Yes. Are there emotions? Yes. Have we had things that have gone wrong? We've made mistakes. The client's made mistakes. Yes. Do we get upset with each other? Yes. How do we get through that? Okay. The first thing, let's all have an acknowledge session, hop on a call with everyone. People get really spicy over Slack and email with each other. So much better to hop on a call as soon as things are getting weird, and ideally ahead of it. And we'd often have to say to clients that dropped a last minute campaign on us, hey guys, look, the communication is going to be very frequent. You're going to be sick to death of us over the next 2 weeks, and we're probably going to really piss each other off. But we're going to have, I'm putting in our calendars now, a celebration drink, the time that this film comes out, and we're going to make it up. But from now until then, we're probably really going to fuck each other off a bit. And then we laugh, and then we do get into the nitty gritty of it. And it's the 9 p.m. calls and people texting you at 10 p.m. being like, hey, I'm so sorry. Can you hop on? Something's broken. Something's not working. We need something to be fixed. The copy's changed. Marketing's changed something. The design's changed. all of this fun and games, right? And of course, there have been times where things haven't gone well. The campaign didn't go good. Do not criticize, deflect, do not blame, do not get spicy. Hop on a call, acknowledge what's happening, acknowledge the feelings. If you've made a mistake, do a make good. Never leave your client with a sour taste in your mouth if you can avoid it. It's like working at a restaurant. If the client doesn't like their food, you get that replaced as soon as you can so that you save that client and they constantly patronize your restaurant, or you give them a free dessert, or you give them a free drink, or you take something off their bill so they're still leaving happy.
Last impression is the lasting impression.
Oh, I like that. I should steal that.
I love how you're setting the relationship from the get-go, addressing the elephant in the room, addressing that there might be negative emotions involved. And I think when you address that from the get-go, it just lowers the possibility that there may be things that come up like that. I mean, everyone knows what's going on. I love these little tips and tricks that you're giving. Okay, so as we're getting to the end of this episode, I want to ask you, sometimes deals are quote unquote dead end deals, but we may or may not identify them from the get-go. So how can you identify those deals, or how do you know when you should walk away from a negotiation?
The deals that will hurt you the most are often the ones that truly don't serve you or the client to the way that they should. This means that you agree to a sum that's too low to get you and the team motivated. You're doing something for free. You are doing something at so much of a discount that you're just like, oh God, why did we take this on? This isn't a good fit for us. The solution that you sell is not actually a good fit for the client. You've managed to force it through with a mixture of charm, wit, having a champion that was maybe really liked you and was like, yeah, I'm leaving soon anyway. Let's like shove this in. And then you get to implementation of your solution. Client doesn't actually want it. People aren't responding to your emails. Time's going past. They're paying you, but then they're sort of questioning, and everything can start to go so bad. And a lot of it can happen really in that early stage of truly seeing if you're actually a fit. Are you actually a fit for this client? Are they actually a fit for you? Qualifying your customer is so important, and it's so overlooked, but it'll stop you wasting your time, and it'll stop you from being hurt when you bring in a customer that is not the right fit for you, for your brand, for your company, for your solution.
Love this ending. I've learned a lot. I feel like everyone who's listening to this conversation right now has learned so much. Thank you for coming on my podcast on this episode. I loved discussing the sales game with you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. If you want to see more psychology in your relationships, please check out the Couply app, available on iOS and Android.
Oh, love it. All right. I hope you took as much valuable information as I did and more. My name is Adele, and you have listened to an episode from 100 Some Game. You like it here? Go ahead and subscribe to 100 Some Game on your preferred platform. While you're at it, I'd love to hear about what you're thinking of this podcast, any episode requests, or further feedback. It'll help me make this podcast better for you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Peace.